Oh my goodness, am I live? I can't believe I'm live. Am I live? I'm literally trying since 50 minutes, literally 50 minutes or even an hour to get live because whatever is happening, I have no idea. The system didn't work. So, oh my goodness. So I'm happy that I'm live right now. I think I'm live. So, whew, I'm happy that you're here. Thanks for being here. So, as you all know, or if you're new to my channels, hi, thank you so much for being here. If you're already a subscriber and a long-term member of my channel, you know that from time to time I really like to analyze these murder cases, and because I find them so interesting from a variety of reasons. And the main reasons is because of I like to analyze them on a psychological basis as well as sociological basis. And of course I like to, I'm very interested in the law as well. And so it's very, very fascinating to me. Not, of course, not the murder cases themselves, but it is wild to me really what goes through people's minds. And oftentimes these are so random cases that you would think that this can happen to anyone at any time because it's just so common, yeah. And so in the last week I literally analyzed so many current murder cases which I've been seeing for some time, but now they're actually the trials are going on, they're all live, and I've had a chance to look into those, and I would like to analyze two major ones. Actually, there are so many. And what I found interesting is that the children murder cases are so getting crazy, and the child abuse and the child murder cases and the way it is being so brutal. I mean, the cases are getting so brutal, and I want to analyze those as well because there are so many crystal clear mental health, psychological and sociological problems with all of the murder cases. They're all connected. So you cannot say this is a psychological problem, mental health problem. It's all connected, and particularly it is obvious in the Harmony Montgomery case. If you know, unfortunately, Harmony is finally been found, unfortunately dead, murdered by her own father. But the case itself, it's unbelievable, like mind-blowingly brutal. However, when you look at the entire scenario from A to Z, it is way more than just a mental health, just mental health problem. But I will also analyze another very, very critical that I have to analyze it. It is so important, especially in this day and age, what I'm seeing in this fake spirituality world and the current trial that is going on in parallel with the Karen Reed trial, which I'm going to talk about today, and that is the cult cases, right? And that is absolutely, I will analyze it. So if you're interested in me doing the analysis, let me know, and definitely subscribe to my channel. Of course, I am always curious of your thoughts as well. So the way I analyze it, I like to go deeper into the psychology and of course body language, as well as the sociological factors, and I put them all in together so that we can understand the whole scenario. That's at least how I analyze it, and I'm always on point because I have a BS detector naturally, and with the psychology and the eyes and the body language, I as I keep saying, I could really work for the FBI or the CIA or what have you, because I'm able to analyze it from the very, very like a millisecond. I have I can analyze a BS, or I can analyze and detect who's right, who's wrong, and who says the truth, who's not. It's just for me, like since my childhood, something that I do naturally. That's why I like to analyze these cases. I want to bring them up to give you a different perspective. I have done that also for variety of murder cases, but also I've done that for the Johnny Depp trial and Amber Heard, and I got so many backlash because people like to see what they want to see and what the media is actually guiding and directing to. So I'd say only my takes, take it, leave it, however it is, but I think it is important to analyze it from a variety of aspects, okay? So this particular case, it's really getting deep into my heart. Even when I'm thinking about it, I feel like I feel so emotional, crying, not because I am also from Boston, and the entire time it's not because of that, is also because the former police officer, John McKeith, right? I mean, just look at this person. Look at his eyes. This is my trick. I'm telling this to you. Look at people's eyes. You can easily detect a psychopath, a liar, or a good-hearted person from their eyes. Full stop. That's my immediate indication of the person. And I would like to make a separate video on psychopaths, but how I immediately can analyze what nobody's talking about. There's a just new study came out, a scientific research based on how a psychopath, scientifically, how you can spot a psychopath based on the head movement, or not movement. But for me, for years, I spotted the psychopath from their eyes. If you want me to do a separate video on that, let me know. I'm very, very curious of what you're thinking, okay? So, look at this. I mean, if I even look at him, I feel so crying, like I feel so emotional. Look at him, and if you know the whole story, I just cannot believe what this family have been through and still going through. I mean, it is just like, if you will think, how unfair is this world, right? This is his brother. So this is the middle child. So there are 3 siblings, an older sister, John McKeith, and his brother. Okay, this is his brother. You can tell also from the testimony of this witness, of of the brother, how a good, genuinely nice, kind family this is, or has been, okay? You can really tell what kind of good-hearted family, from being raised good family, okay? So the older sister was diagnosed with glioblastoma multiforme, which is the most deadly type of brain cancer, which is actually, interesting enough, my expertise, okay? This type of brain cancer, glioblastoma. So she died within 5.5 months of getting diagnosed. And that is, unfortunately, that type of cancer has a rapid death rate, okay? And she and her husband, that time, they had 2 children. I believe one was 6 or 8, and the other one was like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Very, very little. Within 2.5 months of her passing away, the husband dies, okay? Imagine that. These 2 little children are now without father and mother, okay? Then former Boston police officer John McKeith, the picture, he decides to take the children and raise the children, okay? And he got the official custody for the children. So legally, he's now responsible, and he is raising his sister's children, the nephew and the niece. So he is moving to Canton, Massachusetts, where all of this happened, and he's living there for 8 years. Beautiful house, beautiful lawn, okay? And he is known for the story in Canton, Massachusetts, and he's known in the community as a saint because he's genuinely caring about people. And you can see, I mean, there's not much to say. Look at his face, look at his eyes. It's screaming like a nice guy, yeah? Good-hearted guy. Look at his eyes. I mean, and also later on, when you also look at the pictures together with Karen Reed, his girlfriend, with whom they're starting to have like a 1.5 years long or so relationship, like a family. They're raising almost the children together. And within 8 years or so, the children the older become now a teenager, and the young child also like 8-10 years old. So they are kind of raising the children together, and she is also taking care like a mother to these 2 children. And so they have a very loving, kind, beautiful relationship together. And look at this. I mean, look at the pictures. Genuine love, and they were also in the path of becoming an official family. And look at the affection when you look at the videos. I mean, I'm getting so emotional because I can sense if it's genuine love or just fake love. I mean, let me tell you that. I can spot thousands of miles away what is fake love. I mean, fake love doesn't exist, it's just fake, okay? This is genuine affection and love. They love each other. And when you look into that video, the way he hugs her, and apparently even in the witness stand, it was so obvious their affection, his affection to her and hers to him, yeah, like that even the people on the witness stand said, like, the man's wife said, like, why are you not affectionate towards me like this? It becomes so obvious because there's genuine love there. And who in these day and age has this kind of genuine love, right? So, and that brings me to actually, let me also tell you one more thing, and that is in Canton, Massachusetts, where he moved 8 years ago, and I mean, at that time they were like 8 years long in that neighborhood. There's these types of people, this guy and his entire bodies, right? All former cops, these people, like these type of, like, you know, like bodyguard type of people, very like strong. And this guy here is the owner where everything happened, yeah, where the body of Officer O'Keefe was found dead. So there was a party going on inside the house, but everyone in this tiny town, Canton, Massachusetts, these people, these are Alberts. This is Brian Alberts, okay? The Alberts and McCabe's and all of these, they are just these group of family who are there, living there for decades, since childhood. And they are now, this is their family, the aunt, the uncle, the nephew, the niece, the cousin, the brother, the sister, what have you. It's like a gigantic group of family, like big family for decades. And these are all connected. For example, this guy is 30-year long, like almost 30-year sergeant officer, right? And former Boston cop, former Marine, boxing, I don't know, had experience in boxing or professionally as well. He kind of seems keep denying that, but that's what it is. And so all of the brothers and are somehow connected with the police department in Canton, and the brother Chris Alberts was selected to the board in the town, and then they are all are connected with the DA office. They're all connected with the state police. I mean, it's just wild. They're like well connected, very rooted in Canton, Massachusetts, and that's where the problem starts. Also, this guy has a nephew who is 18 years old. At that time, when these things happened, when that murder happened, he was most likely underage, about 17 or so years old. So that Chris Alberts, Colin Alberts, is a guy on social media who is showing his fist and this fighting and this, middle finger and like very, very aggressive, like cocky, like this young, like bully kind of guy, right? So this is how you can see in his pictures, like this underlying anger and like arrogance and cockiness, kind of, knowing that he comes from a family who's rooted, has all the connections, nothing can bother him. This is the attitude, and you can see it in all pictures that he posts on social media. Very, very arrogant and very, very, I will kick your butt kind of attitude, okay? And so when this is happening, when he was a child, Colin Alberts, when he was a child, around 6 or 8 something years old, he passes through Officer John O'Keefe's lawn. And Officer John O'Keefe doesn't like people entering into his lawn, and he keeps saying to the Alberts family that he now became known as absolutely he does not want people to enter into his lawn. And then when this little Colin Alberts, as a kid, crosses over to Officer O'Keefe's lawn, he says to the child that don't cross to the lawn. Then Colin Alberts, the child, gets scared, and then he tells to Chris Albert, his father, that he got scared. So Chris Alberts, the brother of this guy, the homeowner, I know it's so weird, so complicated. I mean, who is who does what? And so then he tells to Officer O'Keefe that his child, Colin, at that time, was scared when he said that. And he said, Officer John O'Keefe, oh, and tell me what kind of candy he likes. And then Chris Albert says to him what kind of candy Colin Alberts likes, and he purchased these sweets, these candies, and brings to Colin Alberts and says, hey, I was just joking, I was just kidding, and then gives the candies. So this is type of a guy who Officer O'Keefe was, okay? And this brings me to my immediate theory on what this case is about. This case is about jealousy, full stop. This murder case is a case of jealousy, full stop. And immediately my theory was that it is because of two separate people's two separate style of jealousy, or why they are jealous, two separate. But today it's immediately another proof of my theory when I heard today day 10's hearing, and that was a third reason which I wasn't aware of until now, until today, but this is the third way of why there is like three separate jealousy reasons. And before I get to that, let me tell you why I think he, like the majority of people are thinking of that, why I believe he was murdered and not, as the state accuses Karen Reed's, his girlfriend, to run over, hit him by backing up with 26 miles per hour in a 60 feet path, which doesn't even make sense. Plus the injuries. Let's talk about his injuries. His injuries, because if that would have happened, which is technically totally impossible, to have in 60 feet area path, suddenly in that snow winter storm, suddenly to speed up backwards with 26 miles per hour is just ridiculous. I mean, who believes in that? Also, his injuries were not in the location or inner bleeding from his chest or rib breaking of his rib and just poking into his inner organs. There was nothing like that. His total injuries was up here in the head and the right side, right arm, underarm, not even on the top. So the majority thing to me is that indicates not only that he was ambushed, that he was beaten up by with punch. For me, the indication of the murder is the proof that of the back of his head, that he has this size of, was it 3 centimeters? A 3 centimeters opening on his back of his head, like a cut. This big cut in the back of his head right here. This is that, for me, indication that he was killed with somebody from the back behind actually hit him and on his head. And do I believe that something happened in the basement? Hell, I believe that. Do you know why? Because I believe if John O'Keefe was for the first time there, he would not be going in there from the side door like the family members. He is a stranger. And mark this word stranger, because I will get back to that. Another important factor for this. He would have gone from the main entrance, not from the side door like the family members would do, which is, they claim that's always open, unlocked. He would go from the front entrance door, like Caitlin Alberts did. And when she would enter, she would see, as Caitlin said today, Colin Alberts. So I believe that when John O'Keefe came in, he would be in the main entrance and in that area while people were on the right side hanging out in the kitchen area. He would come in contact with Colin Alberts. And then they would have gone, if they would go downstairs to the basement, it would have been there right there. and then Albert would have joined. What I think is that these people wouldn't have gone together down there. There's a possibility that one of them would have gone down there, and then he would have also beaten up or bitten by the dog, by the German Shepherd, because he had these cuts and this bites and this cuts from a dog on his right arm here on this area, but he also had bruise here. So there must have been some fights going on, like with punching, because who would else would have here bruising? Like nowhere else but here on the right knuckles. I mean, I have done martial arts. If you punch the back with martial arts, my hand was bruised like a maniac. So you must have punched somebody or something. Maybe they showed downstairs, let me show you, or let's do like some unboxing thing, or let me show you I don't know, the working out gym downstairs. Because don't forget, Officer O'Keefe was 6'2" and like a Boston cop, right? Like a tall guy and pretty strong. So, and all these guys, this guy who is a professional boxer, here, like all these big guys, and let me show you. Like here with Chris Alberts and Chris Higgins, right? Look at this Chris Higgins, really big. And they were doing this fighting things, right? Like the fighting games. If I believe that they all come in two separate occasions together. So I think it started off with some fighting jokes. Then the dog came in and started to bite the hell out of Officer O'Keefe. And then when things got really bad, and then I think somebody hit him from the back of his head. And that's now my theory here. 3 different ways of jealousy here. Why is everybody focusing on Colin Alberts, the teenager, who most likely was underage? Because every single one of them are not naming Colin Alberts in any shape or form in any police report. This is already showing, like, what are you hiding? Persistently, they keep the name out of Colin Alberts, the teenager, the aggressive one, the bully kind of guy, right? So I think that not only of this attitude, that he may have still a sense of aggression, unsolved anger and maybe even jealousy towards Officer John O'Keefe because of the childhood experience that he had, which continued on his father, Chris Alberts, making a joke still by going inside of his lawn and taking selfies, like kind of pass and then ha 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 jokingly, like pushing it passive aggressively. If you watch my Sunday live, literally I talked about jealousy and the passive aggressiveness. Passive aggressiveness is the worst. Get out immediately if you see someone but doing like pushing underneath, and that's exactly what I mentioned in my Sunday live. They did, his father, Chris Alberts, and his wife, they did this purposefully, like in a smiley selfie. Here, I'm going to your lawn, ha 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 ha, pushing the buttons in a very, like, they keep saying as a witness, it was just a joke, it's just fooling around. Even the text message on that day in the bar where he, Chris Alberts, the father of the teenager, Colin Alberts, asking him, texting him, John O'Keefe, to come over to a waterfall bar where everybody's hanging out. And he says in the text message, get your behind here, I paraphrase it, get your behind here or I will be effing off your lawn or something, right? And then a smiley face or like this ha 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 like emoji. He was asked about that last week as a witness, and he's like, yeah, it was just a joke, this is how I fool around. Like pushing like time for years and years, pushing the button, pushing like still pushing the buttons and doing things what Officer O'Keefe persistently said, I do not want people coming on my lawn. And they keep pushing it, like totally, you talk about on my channel about boundaries, right? Crossing the boundaries, causing the boundaries. And I will also share with you, it's horrible to talk about behind, that person's, that person, but I have to say it so we can all take lessons of that. So let me first talk about the jealousy parts, and then I will go back why Officer O'Keefe kept allowing, and I talked a little bit about this on my Sunday live, allowing people to cross his boundaries, again this and I think that genuinely Officer O'Keefe thought or wanted them to believe, be or count them as their friends. Yeah? Count them as their friends. Here. The second on the right is Officer O'Keefe. Next to him is Ryan Alberts, the boxing guy, the 30-year, like the sergeant, former Boston police officer, all with all the connections, what have you. So I believe that he genuinely wanted to be like in this friendly environment, but I believe that in the very underlying way, all these people, like the former cops, and the entire guys in the families, like Chris Alberts, particularly this guy, Brian Alberts, they were all jealous of Officer O'Keefe. If you are a horrible person, and if you see when people talk about a saint in the community, like imagine in a pool of crocodiles, there's this one, I don't know, Bambi. What will happen, right? I feel like so emotional saying that because I see this every single day in the day-to-day life. For good-hearted people, this is a genuine problem, unfortunately. Why? Because there are so many horribly terrible mental people out there who are so jealous of a genuine heart. Look at his smile. Like, you can tell, officer, like, I don't know, I want to cry. If you are in this type of environment where you want to believe that these people are your friends, but in a very deep inside, they're all jealous. Because if you're a horrible person, you are of course jealous of a saint or a genuinely good-hearted guy coming from a good family, good, well-raised family. I mean, I'm not even getting into, so much to get into. What about the trauma of the children? I'm not even talking about the trauma that this person, like the youngest O'Keefe, has to go through, the brother. He's now on his own. 2 of his siblings died in a horrific way. And what about the children? I mean, what about the trauma of the children? Just Izzy's fault is only because he's a good-hearted, genuinely good-hearted person. When he passive-aggressively, when these passive-aggressive hints, they were hints. That's what I want to emphasize here. They were hints, passive-aggressive. Here, come your behind, over, I will F your lawn. Ha 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 ha. Like laughing emoji. That night, Chris Albert sent that text message to ask Officer O'Keefe to come and join them. This is how you send a message? He immediately was jumpy and said, this was joke, this was a joke, this was a joke. And the defense said, what is this? And it was a joke, it was a joke. Can you not see the emoji? Haha. And it freaks me out when people, you see this a lot, when people put emojis after like a passive-aggressive gaslighting and, comment or writing or tone or text message or email, and then this emoji. It freaks me out. It's just, it doesn't diminish what you're just writing there. Are we dumb, right? So Officer O'Keefe should have moved away, should have taken Karen and the children and moved away. And I think they already had plans to make a trip somewhere else in a few months or so before he brutally murdered. But I really had wished that he could have seen the signs. But I strongly believe that he wanted to be friends, right, with his neighbors. I wish he could have seen the passive aggressiveness and the jealousy underlying, but oftentimes when good-hearted people just want to, just see the good in people, that's oftentimes the trouble that they're falling in. And ignoring the signs, those were red flags. But he genuinely wanted to maybe be friends, or thought they were their friends. But they were so good in faking everything, like the story that they made up. It's absolutely a well-organized, designed, planned story that every one of the family member and external family member, like the cousins and the aunts and the uncles and the nephew and the niece, what have you, stick to that story. However, they keep, how much lie can you hold in your brain? Because in this, guys, the owner of the house, the boxer, the former police officer, the Marine, right? His testimony today with the defense was just so unbelievably, like, stop lying. Just stop it. It was so wild to, like, what? He couldn't keep the story straight. The body language, the anxiety, the anxiousness, the face, because Chris Alberts and Brian Alberts and the son, right? The son, what was the son's name? This guy's son. They were all had this tick here on the eyes and the face, with the nose, when they get nervous. They all had that. And this guy's eyes were like everywhere. They were all so anxious. Incredibly anxious. This man and his wife, well, apparently didn't hear anything, didn't heard anything, and nobody heard anything, nobody knew everything. John O'Keefe never came to his house. If this is true, that absolutely he have never seen him, then this shows that Colin Alberts only did that to him. Because we don't even know where the defense is going with Brian Higgins and Brian Alberts. Where do they fit in the story? But the whole thing, the main thing is, in my opinion, Colin Alberts, the teenager, the aggressive teenager, who had still something going on in his deep wound and aggression and anger towards this man, Officer O'Keefe. Whether they helped them out to carry him out, that's another story. Some other people have covered up. There's a huge possibility, just because they keep Colin Alberts so sacred so secret, never mentioned, is something that he have may done, and everyone is covering the whole thing. That is a huge possibility. Okay, and coming to, so we talked about the anger and jealousy, the hatred of Colin Alberts, a teenager, from his childhood all the way that he carried probably in his, inside of him towards Officer O'Keefe. Then all the police, the cops, right? All the group, like the bodies, like the fake bodies here. The good cops, the bad cops, right? The good guy's the bad guy. So, like, I think all of them, the cops, the guys, the mans, were jealous of this man because of the good cop, the nice guy, the good-hearted one, within the whole group of these people. And let me tell you, when people have underlying jealousy of a good-hearted person, that's very, very, very dangerous. And we see this in murder cases over and over and over again. Jealousy toward good-hearted people. The third one, and after that I'll leave you with that, and that is, I didn't know, and I heard this today, and then I was like, okay, that's it, of course. And that was, of course, it was also Karen Reed, that Brian Higgins, this dude here, hold on, this guy's best friend, apparently, he says they're just like colleagues, but they're like buddies. This guy here, in the shirt, like in the hoodie there, with the logo in the back, and on the left side of him is Brian Alberts, that Marine boxer, 30-year sergeant, what have you, former Boston Cop of 30 years. And on the right side of that logo guy, Brian Higgins, is Karen Reed. And turns out, the defense said that today, turns out 2 weeks prior the death of Officer O'Keefe, that Brian Higgins, this logo guy, texted Karen Reed and showed interest towards her. Oh my God. This is jealousy again, full stop right there. And in my opinion, that's when the story with Brian Higgins can fit in. Because if you if you are mental, and let me tell you, because Karen Reed is a very attractive woman. She's beautiful, she has an aura, she's smart, she's intelligent, she's a college professor, and she looks nice. She's very kind-hearted, like Officer O'Keefe. Similar. They were so loving, so caring. And she, in this video up here, you could see how she always hugged people like this, like genuinely hugged people And she also was the only one did CPR on Officer O'Keefe when she found him almost dying. So in that video, she also, in the women there who comes in later, she hugs her so much, like so from the heart, you can tell. And these are like a couple, loving, caring, beautiful couple in the midst of like a mental group of full of hatred and jealousy. And if Brian Higgins, that logo guy, had an eye on Karen Reed, and she was so lovingly, caringly, really together with the nice guy that his best friend Brian Alberts was jealous of already, boom, 2 fire in one. Brian Higgins wants Karen, Brian Alberts and all the rest hates and are jealous of the good guy. Colin Alberts hates us from his childhood. This is the story. This is where all three, which the defense keep trying to frame together and pull it together, is in my opinion the story where all these people fit in. In my opinion, the guys, definitely Brian Alberts and Chris Alberts, the lawn, like the I will F your lawn, what have you, if you don't come here, like the brother of Brian Alberts, Chris Alberts, who is the father of Colin Alberts, the aggressive teenager guy, like this is like all in the family, right? And now you have a passive aggressive adult guy who makes selfies and writes passive aggressive text messages with a smiley face and has a very aggressive valley bully style, showing middle finger in all of the pictures. And you have a son like that who is as a child since then was angry towards this guy. And now we have this logo guy, Brian Higgins, has an eye on Karen Reed. This is my take, and I really, really had wished, and that's what breaks my heart. They just like moved elsewhere, would have moved elsewhere, or him before even he started to date Karen Reed. But he obviously, fall into the fakeness of friendship. They never, and that brings me also to another thing, and that I caught it immediately today. And that is the way they did that to Officer O'Keefe, and the way they immediately framed Karen Reed, like in a matter of like no question, immediately, although they were so friendly, so hugging, so loving toward the Alberts group, McCabe's and all of them, immediately they were done. Why? Because they were always an outsider. And I know that for a fact sociologically, it particularly in cultural groups, or you might know, like in universities and clubs and schools, there's always these groups, and whatever you tried, you're always an outsider. Or someone else, right? For me, it was always the case. In cultural groups, I mean, it doesn't matter that they have this group, and whatever you try, you're an outsider, period. You don't belong there. I've seen this in so many groups, particularly in cultural groups. I mean, try to get into any cultural groups. Even if you know the language, even if you know the culture, even if you grow up in that culture, it doesn't matter. Somehow they sense you are not a part of it. You don't belong there. And that was a huge, huge point here in this case. That's how immediately they did that to Officer O'Keefe without like even a questioning, and without even like a millisecond, they put everything on her. And everyone holds together because everyone is a group. No matter how much they were like so tight together, or Karen Reed thought they were all friends, in a matter of seconds, she was out. She was like framed in a matter of seconds. And Officer O'Keefe the same, thinking that their bodies, right? Like, I want you to, if you have a chance to watch this video from today's defense hearing to Chris Albert, was that, like, I want you to watch that, how Karen Reed hugs this woman there on the right. You can tell, so like genuine friendship, you know? And look at this, I mean, these pictures is like no joke. Like, it's really like friendship, right? Hold on. Like here, right? Like buddies, like friends. But no, he doesn't belong in the group. And I know for a fact how that feels. I've been so many, like in groups, like they have a group and you don't, and I'm so happy that I don't belong, because I don't want to belong into any group. I like my independence in those things. I don't like to be associated with any groups. I have fun, but I know that I don't belong here. Like, I know it myself, but you can also tell that they make you clear that you don't belong. Like, this is our group. And I've seen this in variety of countries, variety of situations, variety of group settings. It doesn't matter. And I'm sure you have seen that too. And this is here the case. That's why immediately we are holding together these two people out. And that's why it was so easy to frame Karen Reed. And I keep saying it, we the people, right? We the people, it's a time for people. And that's why Karen Reed now gets so much public support, because everyone is sick and tired of these suppressive people who think they're above the law. And in this case, the people will win. Let me tell you that. I can smell it from here. Because it is just, I mean, it's not rocket science. The story don't add up. They make mistakes and mistakes and mistakes. And what I found very interesting is today, and they've stopped it here. Hopefully they push it. They were in the direction of the defense to push it, but hopefully they do it tomorrow, because everyone was saying that Caitlin Alberts, the daughter of this dude, of the boxer guy, and who is actually here too, I believe. And I will get to this girl here. That's because she is in a total another story, like on her own, which is ridiculous. But so the daughter of this guy here, who everyone sticks to the story that she was the last to leave the house. But today, she said, the last day before everything ends, she said that her original plan, because of the snowstorm, was to stay in her parents' house, this dude's house, where this everything happened. I'm now very curious now why she suddenly decided to leave. This is today just came out. And I believe many people are also surprised about this, because the whole story was Colin, the son of Chris Albert, this dude's brother's son, this dude's nephew, and Kate. So that dude, the teenager, was not even in the story. Everybody says that he was not even there. He didn't even exist. He was out. He was gone. Nobody knows. He was not even there, which was not true. So then everybody was sticking to the story that Caitlin, this dude's, the homeowner's daughter, was the last person to leave. But today she said that her original plan, that's what she said to her boyfriend, don't pick me up, I want to stay with my parents and the storm is coming. What made her then decide to leave? That was, hopefully the defense pushes on that, because that's very interesting. What happened that she suddenly decided in the winter storm that she actually will leave? Because this wasn't her plan. She's literally said that. Wow. I mean, I'm telling you, so many bizarre things. And lastly, getting so late. This girl here, this girl here, oh my God. Like, she perjured herself. She immediately, she was the, I don't know, first responder or something, or firefighter, what have you. And immediately, as she knew that the story is in the Albert's house, she switched her story. And she denied that she knows Caitlin Alberts, who is the daughter I just mentioned of the homeowner, Brian Alberts. But then the fence showed, like, here, dude, like, you have these pictures together. And beside of all of that, the reason why I put this, she was so bizarre. Like, the way she gave the testimony last week was like, oh my God, just shut up. Like, very, I don't know. Like, what the hell do you know? And I look at this is like pictures with these girls. I don't like pictures of girls like this. I never did, and I don't like it. I hate it. I mean, look at this. And the reason why I put this up is because look at her necklace. The necklace is a cross, okay? And I always keep saying that. And it makes me so angry. Two things. So, you're religious, you're Christian, obviously when you have the cross on your as a necklace, you are acting like this, okay? I don't know. For me, I don't like this picture with these girls, okay? Anyway, but more importantly, you are such a liar on the stand and help covering up a murder case as a Christian, as a religious person, and you dare to put a cross on your chest? Are you serious? You perjure yourself? You keep changing the story after you find out that this is Albert's house and you are friends with Caitlin Alberts? You went to school together, and then on the defense you lied about your relationship that you don't even know who she is? Say that you say the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and you wear the cross, you dare to wear the cross, and you even, I don't know, call yourself Christian, and you do say these lies, and you cover up a murder of such a nice guy who everyone says is a saint, who takes on his sisters who died from cancer within 5.5 months, and her husband died within 2.5 months, taking on the children and caring for other people, and you cover up for whom? This is for me wild, and I keep saying that, and this is true for all religions to me. Because if you call yourself religious, you can't do that. You can't lie, you can't cover up, you can't be a part of this. You just can't. Stop the fakeness. Like, stop it. Okay, I leave you with that, and let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. This is a different way, the way I analyze these cases. There's so many more. It's just the style of murder gets so wild. It's very, very serious, and we need to all pay attention to this. Okay? So I don't want to stop with this girl. Maybe I will stop with this. It breaks my heart so much. Like, all they want just to have a nice relationship, be happy, and I believe they finally found each other and were happy, and they want to build a family. And the horrible part is, I mean, look at all the suffering and horror Officer O'Keefe's family was going through, is still going through. And now her, not only that she lost and saw her maybe love of her life dying, trying to save his life, seeing him in that condition, being murdered, and now, beside that trauma, beside that loss, she has to, without being able to mourn his death, she has to fight for her own life. And the problem here is, since 1.5 years, She is jobless. She was a college professor. She's jobless and she lost her health insurance. And I learned that she has multiple sclerosis. Let that sink in. This is crazy to me. And she is literally fighting for her own life. And as I keep saying in all my videos, in my channel, knowledge is power. She's so smart and she will beat every one of them with her intelligence. Like I found just recently, for the last several months, vicious narcissists. Knowledge is power, and that's my main preach on my channel, okay? And I'll leave you with that, and thank you for being here. I would appreciate if you would subscribe if you like this style of analysis. It's important we raise awareness of this, and I want you to please follow your own understanding and analysis rather than the media, which was the fact in Johnny Depp's ridiculous case. This was horrific, how people manipulated the jury. It was very unfair. I believe that both sides were equally, and I made a video, you can watch on my channel in any case, but watch the other analysis I made as well. But I definitely want to talk about very critical the cult leader, how he murdered, I mean, and then Harmony Montgomery and her, I mean, okay, I'll leave you with that. Have a good night, guys, and or a nice rest of your day wherever you watch this, and like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think. It is always important to see the red flags, okay? I always encourage everyone to be good-hearted, but at the same time, being good-hearted doesn't mean to ignore the red flags, and always keep yourself safe no matter what, okay? Take care. Have a good night.